The medbay lights were sterile and unforgiving. The human technician worked with a focused silence, his hands steady inside the control gauntlets of the surgical manipulator arm. Before him, suspended in a nutrient gel tank, was the reason for his transfer to the remote Xenobiological Research Station Kappa, an extraterrestrial of the Cathari species, critically wounded in a freighter collision. It was the Queen herself, no less, a being of immense diplomatic importance. Her form was elegant, even in injury. A long, segmented torso the color of polished jade, 4 delicate manipulator limbs, and a cranial crest that now lay fractured. The diagnostic overlay on the technician's screen showed the deep trauma to her ventral nerve cluster, the source of her pain and fading life signs. Standard protocol had failed. The complex, fibrous neural tissue of the Cathari was rejecting all artificial grafts and synaptic stimulators. He had studied their biology. He knew the Cathari nervous system was bioluminescent, a network of living light. An idea, desperate and unorthodox, had formed in his mind over the past 3 sleep cycles. He called it a direct neural weave, using modified nanofilaments and a carefully tuned photonic emitter. He proposed to stimulate her own damaged neural tissue to regenerate, using a feedback loop modeled on a healthy Cathari neural scan. It was a theory. The supervising xenosurgeons, all from species with more conservative medical traditions, had deemed it too risky, a potential violation of physiological integrity. But the Queen was dying. Her subtle telepathic broadcasts, translated as soft, mournful chimes in the lab's speakers, were growing fainter. The technician made his decision. During the quiet cycle, he accessed the medbay. He bypassed the safety protocols. It was not rebellion for glory, but a quiet, stubborn conviction that watching a life fade under rigid rules was the greater wrong. The procedure was exquisitely delicate. Under the glow of the emitter, the damaged nerve cluster began to respond. The nanofilaments, thinner than spider silk, guided the regrowth. The Queen's bioluminescence, which had dimmed to a faint ember, began to pulse anew. A soft, harmonious chime resonated through the room, strong and clear. He had done it. Exhaustion washed over him, but it was a clean tide of relief. He powered down the equipment, left the medbay, and reported his actions in a concise log entry, prepared for the inevitable reprimand. The reaction was not a reprimand. It was a silent, profound shift. The station's Cathari attendants, who had moved with a husked grief, now stood taller, their crests shimmering with new patterns. They looked at him not with anger, but with a deep, unsettling reverence. When the head xenosurgeon, a gruff Tarkellan, summoned him, the technician expected termination orders. Instead, he found the surgeon looking perplexed. The Queen has recovered. Fully. Her neural functions are superior to pre-trauma levels. She has requested your presence, personally. The audience chamber was a dome grown from organic Cathari ship matter, soft light emanating from the walls. The Queen rested on a raised platform, her form radiant with health. Her telepathic voice, translated by a pendant on a nearby attendant, filled his mind. It was a voice of warm stones and wind chimes. You intervened, the voice chimed. You wove my light when it faded. You saw the pattern of my being and restored it with your hands and your mind's insight. The technician bowed. It was a medical procedure, Your Majesty. I am glad it was successful. A procedure. The Queen's thought voice carried a sense of gentle correction. To another, perhaps. To my people, the neural weave is not medicine. It is the most intimate act of bonding. It is the sacred rite performed between consorts on the joining of minds and lives. You have performed the weave of union. The technician felt the floor beneath him seem to soften. There is a misunderstanding. I am a technician. I meant only to heal. And heal you did, the Queen replied. But the method is the meaning. You have, by the oldest laws of the Cathari, declared yourself. You have seen my innermost light, shaped it, and been shaped by it. The resonance is in your own neural patterns now. Our scanners detect it. You carry my signature. The Tarkillan surgeon stepped forward, his mandibles clicking in confusion. This is a cultural misinterpretation. The human acted outside protocol, but with therapeutic intent. The intent of the healer's heart is what makes the weave valid, chimed the queen. He did not follow your protocols. He followed the deeper call. He saw my need and answered with a gift of self. This is the foundation of the bond. The technician's mind raced. This was impossible. Your Majesty, with respect, I cannot. I am not of your species. I have duties, a life elsewhere. The bond transcends species. It is a confluence of consciousness. You are confused. This is expected. The one who initiates the weave is often overwhelmed by the new connection. Her telepathic tone was soothing, terribly patient. You will come to understand. We will begin the acclamation. You are my consort. The word hung in the air, final and immense. Panic, cold and sharp, rose in his throat. This was not help. This was a cage made of gratitude and ancient custom. He looked at the faces around him, the reverent Cathari, the bewildered Tarkillan, the stern human station administrator who had just entered. His act of defiance, which he had worn like a secret badge of honor, had been transformed into a universal contract he never intended to sign. Days blurred into a gentle, terrifying confinement. He was given quarters adjacent to the Queen's chambers. Cathari attendants brought him garments woven from soft, metallic fibers. They tried to teach him their meditative postures and the basic theory of telepathic resonance. He was polite but rigid, clinging to his identity as a human, a technician. He submitted every formal protest to the station administration out the galaxy. It turned out was fascinated. News feeds hailed it as the miraculous healing and the interspecies bond. Diplomatic channels between humanity and the Cathari Confederation, previously cool and formal, flooded with warmth and new treaties. The Queen's survival and her union with a human were seen as a cosmic blessing, a bridge between worlds. His personal crisis had become a political cornerstone. The message from his superiors, when it finally came, was devastating in its clarity. It's a sensitive situation, the administrator said, avoiding his eyes. The diplomatic benefits are staggering. A formal objection from you now could be interpreted as a profound insult. It could shatter the alliance. Your continued cooperation, even a perceived acceptance, is strongly recommended. He felt the walls of his gilded cage solidify. He was no longer a man. He was a symbol, a peace token. His cooperation was the price for interstellar harmony. That night, he stood before the Queen in her chamber. The soft light felt oppressive. I thought I was helping, he said, his voice raw. I only wanted to save a life. And you did, she chimed, her presence a gentle pressure in his mind. You gave me back my life. In my culture, such a gift of essence is the greatest pledge. To refuse the bond would be to declare the life given worthless. Do you find my life worthless? It was a trap woven from impeccable logic and alien values. No, of course not. Then we must learn the shape of this new life together, she said. Your people and mine now walk a shared path because of your act. Is that not a form of helping greater than you imagined? He had no answer. He saw, for the first time, not a captor, but another being equally bound by the chains of her own tradition. She was as obligated to claim him as he was repelled by the claim. The misunderstanding was total, a chasm neither could cross. He made his choice not in rebellion, but in quiet despair. He would play the part. He would be the consort in public, for the cameras and the diplomats. He would wear the robes and offer the ceremonial gestures. In private, he remained a technician, a silent, grieving monument to his own mistake. He stopped filing protests. The Queen sensed his sorrow, a dull ache in the new, faint resonance between them. One evening, as the station's artificial sunset played across the organic walls, her thought voice came, softer than ever. "You grieve for a freedom I did not know I took. I see now that your helping and my receiving are different songs. In my joy at life and bond, I was deaf to your melody." He looked at her, startled. It was the first acknowledgment of his pain. "I cannot unbind what has been woven," she chimed. "The political web is too tight. But within this bond, we may define its space. You will have your duties, your world, as I have mine. The bridge between our peoples stands because of you. Let that be your help. Let my respect be my amendment to the right." It was not freedom. It was a compromise, a life sentence with revised terms. He nodded slowly, a profound exhaustion settling into his bones. He had set out to fix a broken nerve cluster and had accidentally mended an interstellar relationship while breaking his own life. The irony was a cold companion. He looked at the Queen, this majestic, alien being who was now irrevocably linked to him, and felt a terrible, shared loneliness. The story would be told as a romance, a fairy tale of stars. He would live it as a quiet, endless correction. A man forever explaining that he never meant to say, "I do," when he thought he was saying, "I can fix this." And in her large, luminous eyes he saw the reflection of his own regret, and the first faint glimmer of a mutual understanding that came far too late.